My name's Asia. Today I want to cover how I went from a tech newbie to an award-winning software engineer in 12 months and the mindset that helped me achieve that success. So my journey actually started in 2020, 2021, during lockdown. And I actually did transition from a non-tech background, which a lot of people find surprising because in the technology industry, when you do see a lot of software engineers, especially who progress quite quickly, they do actually come from computer science backgrounds or a very mathematical or logical background, but I actually didn't. For years, I always studied anything to do with English, and I actually wanted to be a barrister. Just like my foster father, he is a criminal barrister, and I actually went to university. I studied law and then I dropped out second year. I don't encourage dropping out of university, but it worked out for me. I've always been into computers and hardware and trying to figure out how they work really, because my actual father's an aircraft engineer. However, I was always told that that's something for men and not something for women. So over years and over time, especially during lockdown when I had so much time for myself, I decided to reflect and figure out what I wanted to do. So after I dropped out of university, I went into sales. So I moved to London. I went into sales and fundraising for a couple of years. And then lockdown happened and I decided to teach myself how to code, purely because I was motivated by the fact that only 0.1% of the world code at the time. And out of that 0.1%, less than 10% were women. So for me, that was enough motivation to not only go into technology, but also bridge that gap, because I wanted more women to get into tech, especially women from underrepresented backgrounds who might not have that opportunity. And that was exactly me. I come from foster care and we didn't actually have that opportunity growing up. So now I always do things for the greater good and try to give back. So yeah, that was my journey in 2021, making that decision. And that led me on to um, going on to boot camps. So I am self-taught. I did learn via YouTube, Harvard CS50 lectures, and then I moved to Code Academy and AWS boot camps online. And thankfully, I actually came across a community called Code First Girls. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may not. But Code First Girls is actually a company that provide boot camps for women and non-binary to get into technology via product development, project management, software engineering, or data engineering. And I chose the software engineering pathway as that's what I wanted to get into at the time. And thankfully, that's what led me to having my role at the moment at a leading bank in the UK. And just ignited more of my love in software engineering and data engineering. So I did a few boot camps throughout 2021, and then I got my first ever mentor, which was amazing. Her name is Philippa Rodney, and I always advise get a mentor if you ever get into tech, or if you are in tech, still have a mentor because you get to develop your skills. And thanks to my mentor, not only was I able to develop my technical skills, but I was also able to develop my leadership and communication skills and figure out how to actually pass technical interviews, as that was something that I really struggled with during 2022, was passing technical interviews before I actually got my role here at NatWest. So yeah, that was 2022. Did my boot camps, went on to getting a mentor. And then actually I became a mentor myself because I wanted to give back, but again, I wanted to develop my technical skills and also help others achieve what their tech journeys as well in technology. And I also networked a lot, which actually enabled me to found my startup, Chainverse, 2 years ago. And thanks to networking, I was able to get onto my first pre-accelerator program, which helped me build Chainverse to where it is now. So I think it's really important to remember that my journey from being a tech newbie, coming from a non-technical background, not having any of that experience or even that opportunity, to being where I am today did take time. And at the time, I always used to think that things happened overnight. I had to learn a lot of patience, which I'll get into later, about rejection and obstacles and failure, and also not comparing yourself to other people. With me personally, I learned throughout my journey that comparison was the biggest killer of joy. And again, I'll touch a bit more on that, on how I built the growth mindset. But yeah, so that was my journey. And thanks to my journey, I'm now able to give workshops and talks on mindset, and also about my tech journey, also about software engineering, which, I am a big fan of. And now I'm more into data engineering, but we'll get into that later. So another thing that actually helped my journey and excel it was actually my personal branding. So it's something that a lot of us do forget on the way, especially when we get our first role in tech. Um, a lot of us do forget that, how do we take ourselves to that next step, right? Whether it's a leadership role, whether you want to go into public speaking in technology, or whether you want to go into mentorship, you have to build your personal brand to show not only your accolades and achievements, but also the person that you are. Like, what is your narrative? What is your story? And you can do that in multiple ways. And what worked best for myself was having a GitHub that could show all of my coding projects, also projects that I did during boot camps, and what I'm like with teams, and how much am I actually into technologies that I talk about. For example, if I'm applying for a senior Python developer role, it would be great for recruiters to actually go onto my GitHub and see that I actually use that technology quite a lot. And I think it's really important. And with GitHub nowadays, what's great is you can actually have like a fun overview about just a short intro about yourself, and also what technologies you use, which I can get to show you all in a minute. And that really helped me stand out from the crowd. And you can also link your projects, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, my GitHub's quite old, but because I want to show you all my original GitHub that actually helped me during my interview process. So not only did I revamp my GitHub, but I also revamped my LinkedIn. I made sure that I had an overview, also what accolades I achieved. I will post quite a lot on LinkedIn. In 1 year, I made sure to grow my connections, because growing your connections actually opens multiple doors. You never know when you need certain connections. And also, not only does it open doors for yourself, but also what events you can actually attend online and in person. For me, networking and LinkedIn helped me get to where I am today. Again, like I said earlier, when I first started Chainverse and my startup, I had no idea like where to start. But thanks to LinkedIn and thanks to that network, I was able to reach out to female founders and also attend in-person female founders events, and Black entrepreneurs events, for example, which helped me come across accelerator programs that would not only provide you with a grant or funding, but also help excel your startup, help you get started as well, and provide you with mentors. And that was all thanks to the power of LinkedIn. So if you don't have LinkedIn, make a LinkedIn. If you do have LinkedIn, revamp it. And again, I have a blog on how to revamp your GitHub and LinkedIn, which I will share later on. And another really important thing, which is always part of your personal branding, is your resume. In the UK, we call it a CV. Other places a resume. But yes, your resume, always keep it up to date, because you never know when you need it. And for me, I like to explore different roles. Whether it's a volunteering role in during my evenings or afternoons, I come across it, I always want to make sure that my resume is updated. So I'll just show you a few examples of how I revamp my GitHub, LinkedIn, and resume. Just so, yeah. Okay, so for example, please bear with me. For some reason, my MacBook has been freezing today, but hopefully it works. But as I explained earlier, GitHub now allows you to have an overview of your, just a little overview of yourself. And this is actually what I had back in 2021, which helped me with applying for interviews. I would have a little overview about myself. I would link any companies that I'd worked with, any talks that I'd given, and then what my aims were. I would have my social networking and also technical skills at the time that I was either intermediate or proficient in. And I would also link projects. So if you clicked on Click Me, you would go onto a full page of different projects that I used. And obviously my most used language is Python, because that's one of my favorite softwares to work with. And also blogs that I would work with. Furthermore, one second. Ooh, here we go. Okay. Yeah. So again, when it came to my LinkedIn, I made sure to revamp my entire LinkedIn with an updated profile picture. I would also put what I actually am at the moment. So multi-award winning engineer, what I'm working on, who I'm working with. I would have all my featured blogs and posts as well. So if any recruiters or companies actually want to have a look at what I actually do, or if I'm applying for a speaking session on Sessionize, for example, and I provide my LinkedIn, they're able to quickly see what my most featured stuff are. And again, it works really, really well, because prior to this, I would literally hear back from nobody when it came to applying to roles or for speaking sessions. But once I revamped my personal branding, what I found was I would actually hear back from at least 90% of things that I would apply for. So it just goes to show like how important building your personal brand is. And I would also just have like a little about me part as well, just like what I'm up to, my newsletter, any volunteering work that I do, and any accolades. I would just list anything, whether I've been featured in um, uh, a magazine or whether I'd won an award, I would list it just in case anybody's interested. And then also what softwares I'm currently working with, and also what I'm interested in, as well as keeping my experience up to date. So it does work, and I think it's really important to try it, attempt it. And if you need any help, please reach out. Again, your resume, super important for myself. I just keep it really simple, and just outline quickly what my roles are. Also, just a very small overview, just a really simple overview of my skills. And before I revamped my resume, actually, again, I would hardly hear back from anybody. I would also put projects I'd worked with in the links. I wouldn't hear back from anybody at all. And then when I did revamp it with an engineering manager at Amazon, again, I would hear back from at least 95% of my applications, which is great because it meant I was moving forward to the interview stage, or the phone call stage, which obviously gives me a chance to show who I am and also talk about my resume. So yeah, personal branding is really important, and I cannot stress that enough. So we go back onto the slide. Yeah, one second. There we go. Perfect. So yeah, again, I will be sharing all of this afterwards, and also links on how to revamp your GitHub. It only takes about half an hour, and it's super fun to do too. Again, I touched upon earlier about mentorship and networking. So mentorship, the reason it helped me was because it increased my self-confidence, my self-awareness, my communication skills, as well as giving me that exposure to new and different perspectives. So it does help with so many different skills that are really vital in the tech world, as well as giving you that time to self-reflect about yourself. Like for me, without my mentor, I would not be where I am today again, because I wouldn't have been able to get through the technical interviews. I was failing a lot, and it's something I self-reflected on. And thanks to having the mentor, which was provided via Black Girls in Tech, another amazing community, um, I was able to see where I was going wrong when I was doing practice interviews with my mentor. And to this day, she's still my mentor 3 years later, and I'm still learning, and I'm still able to succeed thanks to her. We both also bounce from each other and teach each other very vital things throughout our careers. And again, it's helped me progress as a tech leader. And again, it improved my goal setting, and I was able to learn from Philippa's experience. So I would always recommend apply for mentorship programs. There's so many out there. And if you haven't come across any, I'm more than happy to share with you all some mentorship programs that I felt worked best for myself. Networking. again, I touched upon earlier why it's so important, but again, it helps build your reputation, makes you very noticeable. It also strengthens your support network and introduces you to opportunities that you might not need now, but you might need in the future, or you may need now, which is amazing. And again, if you have a startup or you're trying to grow your personal brand, it promotes your business growth, which again, super important depending on what your goals are. And that brings me on to obstacles, failures, and rejections. So my journey was never easy. It might look very like easy from the outside. However, I actually went through a lot of obstacles. Not only did I come from a non-tech background, so now not only did I have to teach myself how to do logical questions and also technical interview skills. I'd never done any of this before. I'd also had to make sure my maths was up to scratch because I hadn't done maths since primary school. So it was a lot of things that I had to learn, and quickly I was started to get frustrated with myself because I didn't realize how competitive tech industry was. But thankfully, with a lot of self-reflection and growth, I was able to get to where I am today. So I think obstacles are a great thing because it helps you with your personal and professional growth. I also failed a lot. I was actually rejected from, I remember the first 100 applications I did, I was rejected from at least 97, I think maybe 98 of my applications. And, you know, to anybody that might be really disheartening, but for myself, that was good because I was able to actually see where I was going wrong in the interview process or the application process, even though at the time it was quite, you know, maybe heartbreaking or frustrated. And I do remember there was some times where I felt that I was like the issue and I'm not going to be able to progress. However, with more in-depth talk with my mentor and actually putting out there where I'm going wrong in my applications, again, it allowed me to self-reflect and do better. And I, again, like I said, I was rejected multiple times. Not only did I face professional obstacles, I also faced personal obstacles. I actually have and had stage 4 blood cancer throughout my entire tech journey over the last 2 years. And over the last 7 months, I've been undergoing chemotherapy. However, that did not stop me from applying to roles or to um projects that I'm really, really passionate about and I want to take lead on because I totally believe in myself. And I think one thing a lot of us women do go through is imposter syndrome, which I will talk about a little bit later. And when we do come across personal battles, we might question ourselves and our ability. But I made sure that I to tell myself that I'm successful and I'm going to be okay. And it doesn't matter like my health and my personal issues or professional issues does not define my ability, that I'm still as equipped and qualified as anybody else. And having that mentality, that growth mindset that I can do it, allowed me to again have that belief when I am putting in those applications or turning up for public speaking events or networking events or whatever I set my mindset to. I do believe there's a lot of beauty and humility when it comes to dark battles, and I think it's nothing to be ashamed of. And one of my favorite quotes by Jim Rohn is, "You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself." So again, yeah, focus on having that growth mindset. I think it's just something that a lot of us forget. We always get stuck in a fixed mindset that we can't do it, or once we fail one time or we have this big obstacle in our way, we might want to give up. But really staying outside your comfort zone is probably the best thing. It allows you to grow. And like I said, obstacles, failure, and rejection is just another opportunity for growth and another opportunity for success. And that brings me on to why it's important to having a growth mindset. So growth mindset is having that mindset of telling yourself that you can do it, that you love feedback, criticism isn't going to break you, and that you love to improve and you want to challenge yourself. Um, it's something that took me about a year to learn, especially in times when I was failing quite a lot and I wanted to stay in that fixed mindset. But I found myself, whenever I would stay in that fixed mindset of I cannot do this, I give up, I avoid challenges, it actually led me down a rut and that victim mindset, which didn't help me, and it didn't allow me to grow at all in that moment. And it's okay to have feelings and to feel sad about something, of course, especially something you wanted, and you worked hard for. However, one thing I always believe in is what's meant for you will be for you. So that growth mindset of it's okay, another opportunity will come my way, or it's okay, I can learn this, or maybe it's okay, like I shouldn't compare myself to others, is a much better mindset than having that fixed mindset and beating yourself up and giving up. Always remember that discipline plus focus plus action will always equal success, no matter the time frame. So yeah, growth mindset, it's buildable. And again, I'll be able to share more resources on this later on. And that brings me on to imposter syndrome. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of imposter syndrome. I still suffer from it 3 years into my career. Sometimes I remember when I first went into engineering, I actually thought I was a fraud because everything I'd learned on the boot camps. I did a blockchain engineering boot camp with Consensus. I did a machine learning boot camp with Coding Black Females. I also did a software engineering boot camp, and I thought with all these achievements and certifications, and I did multiple exams that I'd actually always got a distinction in, or a first, that it meant I would know what I'm doing when I started my real engineering work. However, when I started my 9 to 5, I actually had no idea what was going on, and I really felt like a fraud. However, it's totally normal. And after like a few weeks, I realized it's totally normal. I just need to learn the new technologies that I'm working with currently. And when I started my role, and I just need to seek help and ask for help. So when I started asking for help a lot more, I'm working a lot more with my team, and also making sure I have a mentor, and also keeping up with the new technologies that I'd needed to learn in order to succeed within my role, I'd realized that the imposter syndrome has just faded. So in that moment where I was scared and I was worried and I thought that all that hard work meant nothing, it actually meant so much because it enabled me to pick up new technologies faster. And also I understood a lot of the new technologies that I was learning, because one thing I always say to people is you don't need to learn multiple programming languages. One is enough, because all programming languages are basically the same when it comes to basics. So if you know one proficiently, second one, let's say you start a new role and they have a whole different programming language, as long as you know one proficiently, it's quite easy to pick up another programming language, because you know the basics. So always have that in mind. And one thing that really helped me during my imposter syndrome was accepting the position that I was in, accepting who I am and finding peace within myself, and always making sure to have that time for myself in the morning to self-reflect and also journal. Um, when I started journaling and accepting who I am, I realized again that I would, one, stop comparing to other people, myself to other people, but two, really believing in myself. And again, the imposter syndrome over time just faded because I believed in my abilities, and anything that I'd seen as a weakness within myself was something that I could work on, and not something that defines me, or defines my path or success or any of my goals. And lastly, and most importantly, is to never give up during your journey, and whatever that may be, and whatever success may be to yourself. Never give up. If you have a goal, go and achieve it, no matter how long it takes. And I think accepting that in the end is again what's helped me get to where I am, even through facing such a adversity of stage 4 cancer, where a lot of people might have gave up on their goals and their career. Like for myself, I had a bigger goal, which is to um do for the greater good and also help women and people from underrepresented backgrounds get into tech. So when you have a goal that's so passionate, you never give up. So yeah. And lastly, what I want to talk about is some tips for any women or anyone out there who wants to excel in tech. So always be confident and believe in yourself. I always say that. Seek mentorship. Again, if you don't know any mentorship programs, I'm more than happy to share that with you. Stay outside your comfort zone, because that's will help you grow. And whereas within your comfort zone, which a lot of us always want to stay in, we will never be able to grow. So stay outside your comfort zone. Even if imposter syndrome creeps up, you'll thank yourself in 6 months' time. Keep learning. Learning is a privilege. So whenever somebody tells me I have something new to learn, I'm so grateful, because when I was younger, I always seen learning as like a chore. And whereas now I love learning, and I love using my Trello board to break it down. And also, if you, for example, you have to learn like a new programming language, let's say, don't see it as a whole programming language. What really worked for me was breaking it down. So I would literally do 1 hour a day. And then if I could do more, 2 hours a day, I would do that. But when I break it down like that, 6 months go by before you know it and you realize you're proficient in a language, 6 months or 12 months, or however long it takes you. But the fact that I broke it down really worked. Volunteer as a mentor or as an instructor. Again, don't let imposter syndrome defy you when it comes to applying for coding instructor volunteering positions, or volunteering as a mentor. Anybody would be valued to hear from anyone's experience, because we are all unique and we are all different, and we all bring something completely unique to the table. So go ahead and apply for those positions, whether they're volunteering or paid. I think it's super important, and it helps you grow as a person, as a leader, as a professional. And it really did help me grow. Over the last 2 years, I've mentored over 70 women, and it's honestly been the best experience of my life. I never thought I could ever mentor someone. Again, that was my imposter syndrome. But when I started, before I knew it, I could see that I changed a lot of people's lives. So yeah, go ahead and do it. Keep networking. You never know when you'll need those networks. Strive for leadership roles. You do not need to tick every single box on the description that they ask for. As long as you take a few and you're really passionate about that role, just go ahead and apply for it. Organization is key. I'll show you in a minute how I use Trello board to my advantage. If you don't like Trello, there's also another organizational platform called Notion, which I think is super fun and super colorful for anyone who's into like design and anything that is, appealing to the eye. But I love Trello. Learn to problem solve. It will come in handy in the future. And I don't just mean like problem solving, like mathematically, problem solve using softwares such as Python, for example. I love to problem solve on Code Wars, but also brain teaser questions. You'll be surprised how many technical interviews that I've attended don't actually ask me to do any programming. They just ask you loads of brain teaser questions and ask you to collab with a team to do that. And thankfully, I studied that quite a lot, and it was actually really fun. So yeah, brain teaser questions, or use Code Wars if it is programming. Focus on your own journey. Again, believe in yourself and don't compare yourself to anyone else. All our journeys are completely different. And as I said, most importantly, don't give up. So yeah, I want to just show quickly how I do use Trello. For example, when I wanted to build an abundance mindset and the growth mindset, I made sure to break my days up, where on Mondays, for example, it would be like my book day. So me and my friend, we would read a book, we would share our insights on it. On Tuesdays, we play chess. It would just help me with my problem solving. I'm awful at chess, but I'm more than happy to play anyone. But I'm getting better. So that's the growth mindset. I am getting better. So that's all that matters. Wednesday, I would do a bit of arithmetic, and Thursdays, I would focus on my programming language skills. Fridays, I'd do some writing, and writing would mostly be on the book that I'm reading, for example, when I'm sharing insights. And because I'm into public speaking and I'm trying to improve as well, I would always read books on the art of persuasion and so forth, and self-development, just to help me. Again, I would also have I'd split up what I want to learn within programming, arithmetic, reading, and it would really help me. And then I would just take it off along the way, and I would just feel more organized, like mentally and physically. So yeah, I do recommend Trello a lot. And on that note, thank you all for joining. And I wanted to leave 10 minutes for any questions that anyone may have. So yeah, and also there's my contact details. If any of you want to contact me or connect with me on LinkedIn, I will share everything with you